Just check the mic's working. Excellent, because I'm quite short and didn't want to adjust. Hello everyone. So I'm coming here with two hats today. So I've got my old hat, which is Anna Hastings, Project Manager at Blue Heart from East Sussex County Council. And I've also got my new hat, which is Anna Fyffe, the SuDS Programme Lead at Severn Water. And just to clarify, I got married in September. I didn't have to go through an identity change to join a water company. So apologies for any confusion. So what I'm wanting to cover today is my role at Severn Water, how we're working in partnership with local authorities, largely to retrofit SuDS to resolve the storm overflow problem, but also to cover some of my work at East Sussex County Council as part of Blue Heart. Apologies, there has been a lot of photos already be used today, and there's a lot of themes already covered, which means we're all on the right track and we're all working towards the excellent same vision, but there might be a little bit of repetition. So the challenge when it comes to sponge cities, or what I kind of seen as more an opportunity, again, this is being covered already today, but through the lens with my hat of a local authorities, as the lead local flood authority, are responsible for the management and investigation of surface water, and also manage surface water on the highway as the highway authority. And with my water company hat on, we are responsible for reducing storm overflows and preventing internal property flooding from the foul sewer. Both of those is linked with surface water, so we have the same challenge of how do we manage surface water. However, when it comes to that, we actually have a few ownership responsibilities that are not shared and do present a challenge when it comes to sponge cities. As a local authority, they are the asset owner of the highway, as well as a number of other buildings and properties, such as schools, as part of the local authority. When it comes to the water company, we don't have control over the highway, we don't have control over a lot of the drainage on some council properties, but we do have control over the wastewater networks, which can contribute to some of the flooding problems that impact a local authority and its infrastructure. So rather than seeing this as barriers and challenge, I like to look at this as a solution, and particularly when it comes to partnership working. So again, you might recognise some of the images on the screen here, but these are some of the SuDS features that Severn Water delivered as part of AMP7. It's actually my colleague Joanne Wood who delivered a lot of these, who is in the room today. So as part of AMP7, Severn Water embarked on what is called Pathfinder projects, where we looked at retrofitting SuDS in a number of different ways to kind of prove to our investors, stakeholders, the regulator and our communities that SuDS do work for resolving the problem of storm overflows. So a few examples on the screen include some planters that have been installed as part of my East Sussex project with Meristem. Got permeable paving on public car parks, swales, water butts as well. So the solution, so rather than kind of taking our pathfinders, putting them on the shelf and let's just forget about that, we kind of took away a lot of the lessons learned and put it into AMP8. So I'm going to kind of zoom in on just the Highways programme, which is the programme that I lead at Severn Water. So what we're wanting to do in essence is retrofit SuDS in partnership with local authorities. And in Severn Water's region, we have 10 local authorities that we're working with. So at the moment, we are working in this kind of pre-contract stage. So the idea is that we're entering commercial agreements with all 10 of our local authorities to essentially work on their highway assets. And as part of that, upon kind of signature and working with them, that also unlocks free resources for those individual local authorities. So some of them are taking up paid full-time members of staff, about 3 members of full-time staff to help deliver the Highway SuDS programme, which has been quite a good win of getting local authorities to work alongside us. And the main reason for that is that we recognise that resources can be scarce within a local authority, and to kind of deliver our big ambitions, we kind of need to help them along the way with our journey as well. Kind of moving away from that pre-contract stage, which is also kind of in a stage where we are now, we have our discovery stage. So as we enter a catchment, we are kind of taking the best available information from our hydraulic modelers, going out and surveying assets, and kind of going in with zero expectations of let's just really start again and see exactly what is connected where, sorry. So a lot of that is kind of surveying a lot of highway assets and kind of proving not all records are always correct in terms of where drainage is going. So really we're trying to identify what highway gullies are connected into the foul or the combined system so that we can work with the local authority to put SuDS on there to either remove the surface water entirely or slow the flow. Moving into the design stage, this is something that either us as the water company lead on or the local authority is happy to lead on, but essentially it's a stage where we are collaboratively, jointly designing SuDS for local authorities. And then moving into the install stage, it's our ambition to kind of hand this stage actually over to the local authority, where they will lead on the installation works themselves. A number of reasons for this. First of all, to kind of break down some of those barriers that I think Laura mentioned on her presentation, that they're not our assets, we don't own the land. It is best placed with the landowner to undertake the works where possible. And then moving into maintenance, again, this would be kind of taken on by the local authority, but would be fully funded by ourselves as Severn Water for the full lifetime of the asset. And to kind of summarise this entire process, the main headline is we want the entire programme to be a zero cost to the local authority. So that's every single stage, whether it's from the discovery, the modelling, the surveys, the designs, the cost of the install, and the maintenance itself. That is fully funded by Severn Water, and that's been a massive kind of win for unlocking space and places to actually be able to do SuDS. And you're probably wondering, why would a local authority sign up to this? That's because we're wanting to kind of work in partnership with the local authorities to understand where some of their problems are for surface water flooding, perhaps where they want to introduce traffic calming measures or climate resilient places, so that we're adding in perhaps shaded communities to help with kind of where there's heated communities. So that's kind of the process, which is running throughout this AMP. A couple of early wins and kind of where we are. So we started the process roughly 12 months ago. I started the role 9 months ago. But today we're already funding full-time roles. So there's already 5 members of staff that we're funding and have embedded into local authorities. We've conducted a number of different meetings with councils, and that includes their lead members, their MPs. And really those meetings are to identify and overlap where our areas of priorities are and where their priorities are. And that's kind of looking at where they might have areas that are already at high flood risk, or it might be areas where they're wanting to kind of do a regeneration project. We've done a lot of surveying today and experienced and learnt a lot from that. So we've already surveyed over 300 roads across our region. And with that, we've identified about 50 projects to date, which we're currently in the design stage for. So that's kind of my work on the Severn Water Highway SuDS programme, but I'm now going to move into Blue Heart SuDS in Schools. So worth giving a shout out to Tegan, who was the project manager for this. I kind of just sat above her as the overall Blue Heart project manager, but a lot of kind of that work was also down to Severn Water and my colleague Jerry for helping to contribute towards the project. So it really was a jointly collaborative project, and of course funding from OLA and Department for Education as well. So what the project in essence wanted to do, so Blue Heart was based down in Eastbourne. It's a catchment which has quite complex characteristics when it comes to flood risk. You could arguably say it's a perfect storm. So Eastbourne is a Victorian town by the sea. With that comes combined drainage and also impact of high tides and basically resulting in tidal locking. When it comes to a high intense rainfall event, water's simply got nowhere to go. It's a heavily urbanized catchment. So when it comes to sponge cities, it felt like the perfect solution for kind of managing surface water risk in the area. So what we wanted to do was build a programme of retrofit SuDS so that we could remove as much surface water from the combined system and help alleviate surface water flooding, whilst helping our partners, Severn Water, to resolve some of their storm overflow problems. A kind of secondary aim to the project was also increasing community education awareness around flood risk. We kind of saw it through Blue Heart, we were engaging communities around flood resilience as a whole. It was an entire work stream, and the SuDS for Schools programme, as much as it was a project to find opportunities to remove surface water, it also presented us with a great opportunity of a huge base of pupils, parents, teachers we could then engage with at the same time around flood risk. So really felt like a twin win really for the project. And another kind of aim to the project was then to monitor the project success. So we've installed sensors in our planters to then look at how effective the sorry, just getting waved at the back, monitor how successful the SuDS were. So what did we do? We engaged with over 2,000 pupils. We completed retrofit SuDS in 9 schools, 10 of which were bespoke features. We ran kind of co-design workshops where, as an example down on the right, we took children's drawings and turned them into reality, which was troubling at times, but it was a fantastic result when it came to it. And through that, we managed to attenuate up to 45,000 litres of stormwater. So my last slide is really just zooming in on a case study, so this photo has been used quite a lot, and also is shown over there. But basically at Pevensey and West Ham, we wanted to work with them to understand kind of what their priorities and needs were for the school, and it was big, bold and vibrant. The actual rainbow is a perfect sort of trace drawing of an existing drawing that came from one of the children's workshops. We managed to kind of project it up and put it there. They also wanted interactive planters, so those rain clouds when water pours into it, when it rains, they actually trickle down and simulate raindrops. But my main takeaway for the entire SuDS for Schools programme was, when it comes to SuDS, partnership working isn't just about, here's a design, we'll install it for you, walk away. I think engagement is a massive component. When we first started the SuDS for Schools programme, it was quite a slow uptake, but it wasn't until we get our first installs in that shows big, vibrant, colourful places for schools, the schools became so much more interested. And when we're wanting to create a sponge city, you kind of need to operate at scale. So you really need to make your SuDS features something that is desirable and what your communities want. So my kind of main advice is always kind of listen to what they want, work with bespoke features, and you get excellent results and much more take up and engaged community as a result. Yeah, that's me. Hopefully it hasn't been too confusing and muddled and not too repetitive, but thank you.